If you've seen the title, you know this is a one-day build. My name's Dan. This is DTM Design. We're going to be doing a one-day build here. As you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be recreating a little locksmith booth or store, whatever you want to call it, that they kind of sit in parking lots and stuff like that. Pretty much I picked this locksmith box or building from LA. It's a random street in LA, so we're going to be recreating it. What I like to do when I build things like this, when I'm recreating buildings or whatever, I like to just build a little mock-up, get an idea of the size and dimensions that I want to be building, whatever I may be recreating, or any object you're creating. And I quickly just went off of like what I saw in these photos to get a rough idea of the whole thing. So pretty much from here on, or from now, I'm going to be getting into materials that are actually going to last and look more realistic and bring the building more to life. Every piece of this I'll measure out, and then from there we'll transfer all those measurements onto the MDF, and then we'll transfer all the little windows and cardboard that we have going on here, or the little drawings of the windows and stuff. We'll take measurements of those, see also what size we want to make them and whatnot, and then from there we'll mark those up onto the wood, and from there we'll go over to my other workshop that has all my woodworking tools, and we'll cut everything on a bandsaw. So let's get started here. So I made all my measurements for the locksmith booth. And I've marked everything down on my MDF wood. I've drawn where the windows and doors are going to all be on certain walls. All these walls are going to be cut at 45-degree angles on all the corners to be able to bring it all together, have very little seamage, and just hide the fact that this is made out of MDF wood to give it more realistic feel. And then pretty much everything else, I'm going to be using some plastic styrene sheets from Plasti-Struck or Evergreen. Also is another company that sells plastic sheets. And then I've also did this the other day. This is the base. It's the concrete slab that is underneath the locksmith booth in real life. And so pretty much it's this one concrete slab that was poured whenever they made this thing. So I cut that out and just kind of roughly made my own little shape that will look good and is in scale with my cardboard mock-up. We're going to go over to my other workshop where we have all my other wood cutting materials and stuff, and we're going to cut all these pieces out and cut out the main structure of this whole building pretty much. Alright, so we're at my other shop now, and I brought the pieces of wood with me. They're right over here. So I have my other pieces of wood with me right here. We got the table saw right here. We're going to make the initial straight cuts on all these, and then we'll do the 45s on everything, and then pretty much we'll be done here, and then we'll go back up to the other shop. Alright, so we have our pieces, our walls cut out for the main structure of the building now. Just a little note, when you do, so roll that back. Here we go. So pretty much we've cut out the walls and the main structure of our locksmith booth that we're making. And so pretty much when you do the 45-degree angle cut, you want to make sure that you compensate for the material, because it's a little different than just cutting straight across and lining up where your line mark is for the length that you need for the wall and stuff is, it's a little tricky here and there, just to make sure you don't cut off too much or too little. So just be aware of that. And all this is definitely possible without a saw, electric saw. And the only other thing is, I did get a little chippage here on this one wall in the lower area where the joints line up together here, like so. And but pretty much, if you do get those, it's not the end of the world, because this is supposed to be as realistic as we can possibly make it for the building. Everything's going to be weathered and urban decay. There's going to be graffiti, stickers, stuff like that, grime. So a little chip in the lower part isn't really a big deal, because that kind of adds to the weathering once you get to that stage. So don't really worry about if you have some scuffs and marks, because it all adds to the story and the weathering of the piece once you get to that point. There's a lot of little details that are going to be going into this. There's a little AC unit, windows, all that stuff. So there's a lot to this. It's called a one-day build. It's definitely probably going to take me more than one day. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a rough idea of how this is all laid out. You just want to take this kind of project one step at a time and kind of just go through the steps and the motions of just breaking it down, the process, and breaking everything down to just smaller pieces. It's really the best way to kind of construct stuff like this. So like I said, I start with the main structure, and then usually after I start with the main structure, depending on the building and how I'm going to be painting it, certain steps will come in here and there. So pretty much now we're going to go about just kind of starting slight assembly, rough look at how everything's laying out, and then from there we'll move on to whatever next stage that we can think of. So that's where I have so far, and we're going to start kind of tinkering around here and figuring out, and I'll see you when I cut back to that. So this is the second day of the build. I've done a little bit of work last night off camera. So I started making the top of the locksmith booth, add a little bit of support structure here and there, just to help strengthen this, and these were all cut at the 45 angles on the sides. A little adjustment had to be made to make it like perfectly square, but it wasn't too hard. So next is what I'm doing next is pretty much I'm using my laser cutter, and I'm going to start cutting out, there's a little key neon sign that is on the outside of the locksmith booth, so I'm going to be adding that. I also bought this L wire. This is a wire you can buy online from eBay or Amazon and stuff like that, and it's way cheaper than buying it in the store. But pretty much this can act like miniature neon, and then there's a little power switch, power box that you can get with it. Alright, so we got our key that we printed out of the laser cutter. From what I measured and everything, it looks pretty good. It's definitely a little smaller than that in real life, but I kind of just like it being bigger. It'll make it a little easier for me to put this around it, and a little more worth it in the long run. And bigger neon signs are always cool, so we're gonna do that. So pretty much I've finished the main top, the upper roof of the booth, and as you can see, I've done some weathering effects and created the booth and all that. I made these stickers using a laser jet printer and just printed it out on vinyl that you can buy online. So right now what I'm doing, I'm taking the L wire and I've been lacing it around the key shape to give it the neon sign look. And that's just really slowly doing a process using this little drill for some micro bits. I kind of just drilled 2 holes where the main points would be to need to line up pretty much, and then taking some thin wire, laced it through, and then twisted the backs, cut them, and then folded, as you can see in the back side here. And pretty much now that it's all wired up, the top is pretty much complete. We have the roof over here, and once I'm done wiring all this, I'll be able to glue this down, and that will be complete, and then we can start painting the walls, doing the windows, and assembling the main structure, and going from there pretty much to finish this lock booth. So this is just an update on my one-day build. Clearly not a one-day build, but so far, as you can see from the last update, I've gotten really far on the structure. It's mainly put together. I have the little rebar in between roof. I have the main locksmith booth roof. I have weathered the whole base, which you saw. I did magnetize this little storage container that's outside of the locksmith booth, and this gives me access to the power for the neon signs that are on the ceiling or the roof of the building, and then this can just go right back into place and from the magnets, and there you go. So now it's back in place, and the batteries can be changed as the lifespan of this thing goes on. Yeah, so pretty much now it's just the final stages, putting this together, some small details. I do want to add some of these yellow safety poles that are for cars not running into the building that are there in real life. I would like to add like a little trash can, probably some more trash, do a little more weathering on the concrete and everything like that. This still needs to be weathered, so there's still some small things to do, but besides that, the building structure is pretty much complete. All the little signs and everything inside were all using my LaserJet printer. Just like an HP, nothing really special. And then those are all cut out and just kind of mounted on there with white glue because it dries clear and doesn't fog up the clear acrylic as much as super glue would. Construction wise, this back booth here was constructed with styrene plastics, real simple. Plastic for the handle, a little bit of molding putty for the locks and the keyholes and all that kind of stuff. So now it's pretty much just down to the final details of the project, and then we'll have our very own East LA locksmith booth. So yeah, that'll be cool. Alright, so we've finished the locksmith booth. Now we've gone from our cardboard mock to the final product. I tried my best to capture every part of the process. Some of the stuff I didn't film because I'm a one-man show here, and I'm filming everything myself while I'm building this and thinking of how to build it. So yeah, this was based off a real-life locksmith booth in East LA. I tried to follow it, the look of it, and everything I could mimic to the best of my abilities. So for the most part, it's pretty much done. Some parts you may have not seen. We've added a little trash can here. We've added in the phone number on the inner part of the roof with a vinyl decal cutter. We did all the weathering with pan pastels, and we did the electronics using the L-wire. We used the laser cutter to cut out the shapes of the keys, and we wired it all together, and now this is our finished product. And you can pretty much take this process and apply it to any recreation of buildings, I guess. Or just into anything else you may be building for your own need. If you guys have any questions on any of the materials and stuff I use, please feel free to comment below. And I'll be doing plenty of more builds in the near future. Some will be possibly more of these, and others will be some other stuff. The next one I plan to do is some stuff on infrastructure, I guess you would call it. Then my shop, I'm going to be building probably some type of a small stool for when I'm working in the paint booth, and you'll see that in my next video. So stay tuned for that and subscribe if you want to see more of that stuff. Thanks for watching my one-day build on the locksmith booth over here. If you want to check out any more of my work, I do have an Instagram, DTM_design, and you can check out all my other buildings and stuff I've created. I will be creating a bunch of more one-day builds on this channel, so if you'd like to see more of those, please subscribe and comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.